I generally do not express my political views to people, especially publicly, because frankly, I doubt anyone cares. However, in this circumstance, I felt it necessary to sound off to some degree, mainly because, like everything else, I've circled this back around to work. Um, I see this video going around of this picture of the president being beheaded by Kathy Griffin, which, no matter what you think of it, whether it bothers you or doesn't bother you, politically she has the right to do it as an expression of free speech. What I find insane is when people voice their displeasure at this, the result is then that this woman is on television screaming that she's a victim. And I don't understand. If you're going to do something that obviously agitates and is edgy and is set to bother people and you get the desired reaction, it seems incredibly bizarre to me that the immediate reaction to that is to claim that it's all the white man's fault and that you're the victim of misogyny, while at the exact same moment you're crying on television trying to elicit sympathy, generally something that's reserved as a female prerogative, because if a man cried on television to that extent in order to elicit sympathy and back people off from him, he would be perceived as weak, and that's being kind. I find it hard to believe that she's shocked by the reaction, that it's upsetting. It's kind of bizarre to me. I would like to believe that if somebody took a photo of them beheading me, that my kids would be upset. I think it's a reasonable reaction that my 11-year-old son, in that case, would be a little perturbed by this, and that they might, decide that they wanted to voice an opinion defending me. I think that's human nature. It would be weirder if they were silent on the matter. And so the reaction to that to be that somehow these people Jedi mind tricked her into doing this so that they could attack her is frankly bizarre to me. But to circle this back around to work, this really kind of struck home for me, because what it shows me is it shows that in the area of bail reform and crime, we have a mentality that is essentially trying to impress the narrative upon people that the criminal is the victim. That if you go out and commit a crime and you're held to account for that crime, the very notion that you should sit in jail or be forced to be under the supervision of a bondsman or have any direct accountability is unheard of, because you're now the victim. You robbed somebody, you stole from them, you kidnapped them. You're the victim because society somehow incepted you into the idea of committing the crime. And it's not a one-for-one comparison, but this clearly struck me profoundly, that the narrative and the series of events in this situation of someone essentially lashing out at a public figure in a way that is at the very least considered provocative, maybe vulgar depending on your thoughts on the matter, and that now suddenly being turned around into the person that was the target of this is now in the wrong for responding or being offended by it, and their family being upset. And now the onus is on them to somehow lie back and take it. And this is pretty much a socialist idea that the state should have no power to do anything but ensure an equal outcome regardless of action or intent. And I find that bizarre. And I just want anybody that's listening to this to kind of let that sink in, that if someone victimizes you, they in turn are now able to claim they are the victim. And that is a very dangerous precedent, and it is being set every day in our criminal justice system. So I think that's worth bearing to draw the comparison. Just think about that, because it's a scary thing.